I guess with Overwatch 2, I guess a lot of changes are coming with Overwatch 2, as we saw with the Soul Infernal.
Yep.
I guess previously known as Philadelphia Fusion. I guess that's interesting to see about that, because I know a lot of people are really excited. Hello everyone, welcome to the ConcordXp podcast. I am Nathan Fuji Lockhart. I am your host.
I am your other host. My name is Vi, and today our special guest is none other the director of our esports program, Austin Clay.
So the story is awesome for me. One of my friends in college, when I was in college, he was not happy. He was sad, a little bit sad, and he messaged me, "Hey Austin, I want to do esports." I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's do this." And then when it was just before summer break, I go over summer, do all the research. I come back, I look at the man, I'm like, "We're doing esports." He's like, I was joking, Austin." I'm like, "Too bad, you're my vice president. We have an esports club now. Let's go." And then we started playing on Max in Overwatch, and we beat top 5. Now this is during GOATS meta, so of course you can beat top 500 during GOATS. So we were able to beat them during GOATS, some top 500 teams, and that's where I fell in love with esports. Is they're running it at my college, Alfred State College, up in New York, kind of thing. And that's basically how I fell into love of esports, kind of thing. And that was 6 years. That was my junior year of college, so that was 6 years. I've been here for 3 years, so 5 years ago. 5 years ago, sorry.
So it's funny. So your friend was like, "I'm joking," and then you're like, "I'm not."
Yeah,
I'm not joking.
I did not give him an option. It was, "John, you said you were sad. We're doing this," and then I pulled in all my other friends. My roommate got him involved because me and him will already play Overwatch in our room, and then I went into the art room, because that's where a lot of the major I was. And I saw a lot of my friends who used to play Overwatch. And I'm like, "You're on my team now. You're on my team now. You're on my team. We're gonna do some open trials to fill in the gaps. But let's go here. You're gonna be my vice president. You're gonna be my treasurer. You're gonna be the social media manager, and you're gonna be this and this." And they're like, "But I don't want to." I'm like, "Too bad. Let's go."
You have no choice.
We have a
You
club.
have no choice.
And then I started up there, and that's where I ran it for their kind of thing. The school helped me, handed me the money. We worked it out and got a nice facility down there at the college I worked at, attended to, and we got that all set there, kind of thing. So pretty fun, pretty simple there. Obviously, I'm an Overwatch guy. If you didn't know, I just keep saying Overwatch. So Overwatch, Hog right now is super meta, but my favorite character will always be Zarya and D.Va. My two favorite characters is that I'm a tank player at heart, kind of thing. For DPS, really right now is Sojourn. I love Sojourn. I think she's a really, really good character in the game. So there's that. But now I'm going to turn and ask you two how you guys got into esports and how you guys got involved in Concord Esports.
Okay. Well, for me, I knew about esports, but I never really knew that somewhere so close at home, like Concord was doing esports. I didn't really learn of esports until I came here. I was a freshman, so back in 2019, I was a freshman, and I had saw that you guys were doing open tryouts. Yeah. But I didn't know that, but someone sent me a link to it and had said, "Oh, Concord's doing free tryouts, open tryouts. You should do it because I know you like that type of stuff." I was like, "Should I though?" And it was like, "Yeah, do it. Why not? You're not doing anything. You got no clubs.
Yeah.
You just started out as a freshman. Maybe this can be something you could be interested in." So I was like, "Okay, you're right." So it was one weekend. It was a week-long thing, and so I decided to go, and they just had some Overwatch guys just sitting there. And this was the program was just brand new.
This is before I got here.
Yeah, this is before Austin got here, and so the director beforehand was there, and we basically had no teams. We had Call of Duty, I believe, but League of Legends and Overwatch were the other two teams that they were also trying out for. So they had the league guys over there in their areas trying out, and then they also had a couple guys in Overwatch try out as well. So I just go over there, and I didn't have Overwatch on my PC at first, so I had to whip out the credit card.
Yeah, and buy
buy Overwatch, and then I just played there for a few hours, and I believe it was that following week, I had joined the Discord. Someone gave me the link to it, and the director at the time, I remember I just caught a glimpse of the chat. He had said, because I was playing Lucio back then, and he was like, "Hey, who was that Lucio player?" And I quickly
saw him type back. Yeah,
that was me. And he was like, "Okay, well, are you free today?" And I was like, "I'm in class right now, but after this class, I'm free for the rest of the day." He's like, "Well, come down to where you just were at last weekend, and I have something to we could talk and something." And I was like, "Okay, sure." So went down there, and he's like, "Okay, well, you're on the team, on the Overwatch team, but we have enough support players. How is your tank?
You're playing tank. That's the most common thing. I did it too with my players. Done tryouts again. Same thing. Tried out someone. I go. It's like good support, but you know what? I know we have enough supports. You're playing main tank. No one likes playing main tank, especially in Overwatch 1. I'm like, you don't have an option. You're playing main tank. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's very common.
Exactly what happened to me. So I was like, I mean, I played a couple tanks back then, but I was really hoping to do support. So they're like, well, you're doing tank. So I was like, okay, well, as long as I'm on the team. So I just started playing with tank, and then that was when Sigma came out just very recently, like a few weeks back, and I just started playing Sigma. And I just turned out to be the Concord one-trick pony with Sigma, and
for a little bit, and then the next year when I got there finally, we helped. I helped you, plus with some other people, we helped expand your hero pool a little bit more. Now in this season, he did the whole gambit. Now he's a DPS player for us.
Yeah, I am the DPS for Concord.
So he ran the whole gambit of different roles there. But yeah, in Overwatch, it's actually pretty common to swap roles. Obviously, you want to stay in one, but it's pretty common to swap around. I had a guy who used to be a DPS and went to tank, and now he's top 500, and he was one of my best ever person I ever coached. Kind of thing, Carson and Flyer kind of thing. And so really good guy. He helped us out a little bit there. So really common to swap in that. But now we're gonna shoot it over to Vi here. At least I want to hear your backstory, how you got into esports.
So I got into esports around 2 years ago. I actually was watching League of Legends. I was watching League of Legends.
Why would you do that to your eyes?
My favorite team of League of Legends was T1 and Faker. So I watch League of Legends a lot, and then I started playing League of Legends because I was like, okay, I love playing video games. This is something I want to do. So I started out with League of Legends, and I was like, not really the game for me. And then Apex came out probably like a year or so later, and then I got into Apex, and that is the game that I'm currently playing now, and I am actually the captain for our Apex team here at Concord. Right now, I am our main like attack legend, so I'll play like Wraith, Horizon, like those types of characters. But I don't really have like a main character that I'll play. I'll like switch from Wraith to Loba to Lifeline, Crypto sometimes. I'll play Catalyst, Caustic, like Gibby, like pretty much every single legend in the game.
With my question for Apex, because I get the game, but obviously sometimes I don't get the game. Why there's 3 guns that do the same thing? Why do they put like bad guns in the game? Like why is there even an alternator in the game that's awful? Why does that exist? Or like a Mozambique? Why would they exist? Why can't they just have better drops? Because when I land, I get that, and then the other guy getting an IL3, I'm gonna lose. Like how do you win when you drop hot, and another person gets a good gun and you get and they get purple shields and you get a crap gun?
The person that drops in hotspot will most likely find like better guns. Like if you drop in like the hot zone, you'll find like a gold 30-30 or like a gold like R301, and most of the time they have like blue or purple shields. But if you just like drop in the place beside them, you're more likely to get like common loot like the Mozambique. And then a P2020 is the most common one because that's like the most basic common gun in the game. Yeah, it's the basic gun in the game. Pretty sure I can speak for everyone who plays Apex. The R301 is pretty much their favorite gun. I feel like the hardest gun to control recoil-wise would most likely be the flatline. Most energy guns too, most of them. It's the Devotion and the Havoc. If you don't have turbocharger with it, it's like a 1 to 2 second like time up like recoil before it actually starts shooting.
Has a ramp up speed.
Yeah. So like if somebody has like a say like they have like a Volt.
Yeah.
And then you have like a Havoc, you're most likely to get knocked down first just because the Volt doesn't have like the recoil time like the Devotion or the Havoc does.
Yeah.
So but for different drop loot, it just depends where you drop.
Got you. I'm a Hemlock user. I like the 3 burst.
The Hemlock is not my favorite gun.
I know it's not. I also know it's not good. I just like it because we can land those 3 headshots, back to back, you can crack people really quickly in the game if you're good with the hemlock there.
I typically go for the R99 a lot.
I remember when our Call of Duty team was in playoffs, and one of our guys, John, when he was on the team, we were in between. I would be playing Jared, and a couple other people would be playing, and John is really good at Apex, and he would just come over and just laugh at us three as me. Then so me and these two other guys trying to play the game. Like we're in like silver gold lobbies, and he's like, "Dude, I'm masters." I'm like, "Good for you. I'm trying to just live. Let me live."
Yeah.
Step one, live. And John's like, "Well, you're doing it wrong. You need to be running here, doing this, move." I'm like, "John, let me live. I get it." I'm like, "I don't want to be coached right now. Let me just have fun." Kind of thing. So I get my big thing in esports. Sometimes going into that, players sometimes don't like coaching or don't like practicing. So as people on esports teams, I know like general players, casual players think, "Oh, just playing more and more, play the game more and more, and you get better." As esports players, how do you guys feel actually can how is the fastest way to improve in a game or gain experience? And is hitting the game 20 hours straight, is that the fastest way improving, or do you feel like there is other ways of gaining experience faster for any set game?
Right. I feel like playing a game like 20 hours a day, I mean that it can help you, but it can only get to a certain point. It's like, I mean, the only thing that will do for you is you'll know how the game's mechanics will work. So it's like in that sense, because we always say in esports you got like the two types of people who are good at the game mechanics and who are good at like teamwork. So like either like the one who, let's say, one who has like really good teamwork could sometimes win the team that just has good mechanics.
Yes.
Or vice versa. Sometimes the team with the better mechanics could outweigh the team with the better teamwork. So it's like, I guess when you play the game for such a long time and for many hours throughout the day, I mean, the game mechanics, so you know how to recoil, how to control guns.
Yeah.
How to like which characters are meta, which characters are broken, which characters are weak. So it's like I feel like that gets to a certain point. But when you go through esports, you really like learn more because because in esports you learn that it's to me at least, I've taken my interpretation on esports has been, I guess it really matters on you as a person as well. Yeah. I feel like of course getting the game mechanics down will help, but you have to find out what kind of person you are on a team, because if you're going to be a person who is very has a high ego and does not work well with others, and you're playing like Overwatch, that's not going to work out because Overwatch is a very like team-based game. Yeah. Now, if you're playing like Valorant, that could kind of come to a certain point because there can be times where like ego can come, can get kills and whatnot. But that game also requires teamwork, so it's like you also will be at a stopping point if you just are a high ego. Yeah. So it's like I feel like with esports, if you have, let's say, good teamwork skills, you have great communication skills, you're communicating to teammates, for Overwatch, like some character's low, or hey, I need pilling, help with a character. I feel like you will win a lot more games because you're keeping the team up to date with what's going on, rather than just like sitting there not saying a single word, and you die and you just sit there and you're just like waiting for the time the cooldown timer to go to 0, and then you go again. So it's like I feel like if you have good communication skills, good teamwork skills, and just like good personality skills, because your personality also matters as well, I feel like you can do way better than someone who is just playing the game 20 hours a day. Yeah. And say compared to one who just plays the game, let's say 8 hours a day, but they're communicating, they're constantly playing with like the same people over and over again, so they know how those people play with, versus one who just does like pubs and comps and tournaments, and they're just playing with randos every other day. Yeah. I feel like the person with 8 hours is going to get way more like
value.
Yeah.
How do you think how it will work there for your experience?
Yeah, what I do just like for me is like make a list of what I feel like I'm like a little rusty on, or like what I need to work on. So like one day I'll work on aim, like the next day I'll work on like movement mechanics and stuff like that, and then the next day I'll watch like videos of like pro players, like see what gun combos they're using, or like what metas they're using, or like if I'm like trying to figure out how to like, say for example, like somebody who's like trying to learn how to like tap strafe on like mouse and keys. If they're not figuring out by themselves, I would try to watch like guide videos or like watch pro players and try to figure out like what they're doing, and just like learn by like watching videos. What I do is like playing for like long periods of time. Like you'll get to a certain point, like when you like get tired, you're just like mentally just tired. So I feel like once you get to the point like where you're getting like tired and stuff, like I would just
Take a break.
Yeah, just take a break, because when you're trying to play, like when you're tired, you're not mentally there.
Including tilted. That's also, you shouldn't be playing when you're tilted.
Yeah, like don't play when you're tilted, because when you're mad, like at the game, or like you'll start to get mad at your teammates, even if they're not like doing anything wrong.
Yeah. And that's always the thing that you always have, like for Overwatch, is like the 2-game rules. Like if you lose 2 games in a row, just take a 30-minute break. Yeah. And then if you feel like you're collected again, then go again. But if you feel like that you just need to take a break for the rest of the day, then take a break for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I've been noticing more and more similar to my 2-game rule. Basically, what it is, if you lose 2 games, you don't play. But the newer philosophy that I've been noticing is you play you have the 2-game rule as well, but you also add a second rule is you only play for 2 hours. After 2 hours, after that you take a 5-minute, 15-minute break. Fall, you can get up, you go to the bathroom, you get some water, you watch a quick YouTube video, and then you get back into the game. That mental reset there gives your brain that fatigue, because every esport game nowadays is quick, boom, 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 boom. Your brain's non-stop thinking. Mm-hmm. Because of that, you need that 15-minute break to let your brain itself recover from that fatigue. You may not have that physical fatigue, but when you wake up, guess what you do when you wake up? You're in between reps. What do? You take a few minutes break. When you're playing soccer for straight, you get subbed out so you can get that few seconds to recover. Same thing with esports. Even though we don't have that physical element, I have been noticing that more and more coaches or more studies are saying that maybe after 2 hours of playing heavily intense game, take a 15-minute break and then come back into it, which is similar to my 2-game rule, because usually in a 2-hour gameplay, at least for Overwatch, you're probably going to win and then you're going to lose 2 games. And that's usually going to end up around 2 hours. Mm-hmm. Usually that was an informal way of getting you around 2 hours, but the better way is saying 2 hours, no matter what, after 2 hours you stop. And you take a 10-15-minute break and then you come back in. Because also, after 30 minutes, you usually get into your flow state. And what a flow state is, that means you got your peak performance for esports. And then after an hour and a half to 2 hours, your flow state usually dies down and you start getting out of that, which means you're getting into your trough, which means you're not playing your best of your game. So what you do is you play for 2 hours, you hit your peak, and then you slowly go down, and once you hit your lowest point of when you're focused and ability, you take a break, and then you get back and you slowly go this. Basically, you're doing this. You're making a sine or a cosine graph of the constant flow state of esports, and that's the best way to grind and gain ladder. Also, what I do is, as a coach, I feel like aim training, mechanical practice, also VODing yourself, to me, is the most important thing. Review what you did wrong. Don't just say, it's my teammate's fault. Say, what did I do wrong? Always blame yourself. If you're playing together, unless you're playing with a team, then you can talk about it. But if you're playing in ladder, never blame your randos. Mm-hmm. Always think, what can I do better? Right. What did I do wrong? In this scenario, XYZ, what did I do wrong? Also, when you're climbing, just know it's the 20-40-40 rule. 20% of the time, you carried the game. 40% of the time, your team is just better. Like just the matchmaking system made your team just so much better. You're just gonna win. Then 40% of the time, you lost because your team is just worse. So only 20% of the time, you win because of your own skill. You just gotta do your job. When it's in that 40% of the time when you're winning, all you gotta do is do your job and live. It's someone else's game where they're popping off and causing the game to win, and that's fine. Just know that, and just know I just gotta do my job to make it win. And then the other 20% of the time, the other 40% when you know you're just gonna win, just win and then do that. When it's 20% of your time, when it's your turn to carry, you have to carry those moments. And that's another thing, another philosophy that's coming out. It's the 20-40-40 rule kind of thing, is where it's like that there. Kind of thing. So at least that's how I view it as. Going forward it's more of that way. Now, when you esports different. When you're playing in actual matches, I know you have done it before, because Overwatch, Apex doesn't get this bad as much, but in Overwatch, when it's a best of 5 series or best of 7 series, and it goes the distance, that literally can go up to like 3 hours, 4 hours straight.
It's terrible on the player's mentality.
Yeah, because you have to be at your peak for 4 hours. You don't get that 15-minute break. that at that peak and you got to play at your best. So fatigue training is something really important in esports, which is you have to do longer scrim blocks. Once in a while, so you get used to that. If you have long games in series like Overwatch, League, Valorant, they have to get used to those long scrim matches. So therefore, when it's your turn to play, your team is used to those long matches, and the other team isn't, which means you can stay at your peak longer than the other team, which increases your chances of winning. At least that's again, this is all hypothetical stats.
Right.
This is not guaranteed just based off stats kind of
It's
thing.
like interpretations of what people have seen in the past.
And mental and general assumptions of people's mental abilities kind of thing. But that's basically what the common thread and trend is going towards, is that belief there kind of thing. Me, again, I'm a director for a reason. I'm not good at games. Correction, I'm above average. Most of the time I'm like plat, diamond, which in most games is above average.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
In most games,
Gold, plat are like typically like
average.
average.
Yeah.
So I'm usually plat goals. I'm just above average. But really what I excel at is doing the behind the scenes stuff, organizing things and understanding the philosophies behind things to give that to the players to help them improve kind of thing. That's not being a good player is not my talent.
You see it from a different perspective, than just the average player would.
Yeah. That's where I excel at, is the mental game. That's why I love strategy games. Like my favorite game is strategy, grand strategy like Stellaris, Horde 4, EU4, which is Universalis 4, Hearts of Irons 4. All basically, if you think Paradox Games, which is a developer, love their games. Victoria 3, those style of games there, Civilization 6, those style of games, strategy games, are up my alley when I'm not playing esports. When I'm playing esports, it's Overwatch. Outside of that, it's more of my strategy games where I get to sit and think and strategize. Or like deck building games, roguelikes. Roguelikes are just strategy games.
Yeah.
Roguelikes are one of my new favorite. Used to didn't like them, but recently I've been getting into a lot of roguelikes. Slay the Spire, Monster Strain, a bunch of other ones are really good at roguelikes. I've really been getting into more and more roguelikes.
I know a lot of people were getting like into the new one that came out, the Returnal.
Yes.
It was like a PS5 exclusive, I believe, or just like a console exclusive, but I know it's coming out on Steam
soon.
And
I don't have it yet because I don't have a PlayStation. I want it.
I
It
know
looks
a lot
good.
of people. It's just like a good roguelike shooter, and a lot of people have been like loving it.
Yeah.
If you like games like that.
So I'm trying to get into more of that area. That's my stuff there, casual kind of thing there. The other thing that I want to talk about before go on break, what do you guys feel with who do you feel is the best esports company out there? There's obviously the obvious answer would be Riot. They have the longest successful esports.
Two of the biggest games like League and Valorant.
Valorant. And they have the longest successful, besides CSGO. Technically, CSGO is the longest successful esport. So you have Riot with League of Legends, which is one of the longest, but it's the biggest, and it's still the biggest. Then you also have Valorant that's about to pop off. And they know how to make esports. What I mean by that is they know how to make good games, and then also know how to make a good ecosystem for a game. They do grassroots, and they slowly transition into how they do with Valorant. Now they finally have the divisions and all that built out. You do have franchising, but there's still a really good tier 2, tier 3 structure. Well, Blizzard on the other hand, I love Overwatch and that's my game. They do not know how to make a good esports structure. Yeah. Every esport they have ever ran, Hearthstone,
Starcraft.
Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft, any esports game they have ever made have failed because they have poor structures or they too invest into it too quickly. Like Overwatch, they made people spend $20 million to join Overwatch League.
To make a team.
To make an Overwatch, that's too much money when there was not enough build up. Now
it just started.
Yeah. Now League, if I hear a League team having to pay $20 million again on franchising, I'll go, okay. Yeah. Like that makes sense with how good it is. But Overwatch, out of nowhere, 2 years after the game was released, and it's been a small grassroots, and then you're gonna say $20 million. There's not enough. That's not the right way of building a good esports game, and the league is going to fail. Now, luckily with Overwatch 2 and the new people are running it over there, I think Overwatch 2 now has some life rebuilt into it. I'm hoping it can exist still.
I hope so too, because I know a lot of people have been liking Overwatch 2 a lot more than Overwatch. I know Overwatch when it first came out, it was like a genre-defining shooter for esports and whatnot. It was like, other than Call of Duty, they kind of had like a computer, for Overwatch. So it's like, I understand, it's like, I get why people are like frustrated, and I feel like Overwatch 2 hopefully will change, that different step in the direction. I guess we'll just see, because it's still pretty new into the scene.
They're getting back to Riot does, and I don't know if Apex does it, but I know definitely Riot does it, which is they have patches so much more in Overwatch. Before we would go months, we literally went 3 to 6 months in Overwatch 1,
Right.
and this is not at the end of the cycle. This was like mid-peak Overwatch. We would literally go 3 months with nothing and no changes.
And right now it's like
Every month.
every month, and then sometimes if something really needs patched, so it's
Instantly.
like a mid patch.
Yeah.
So it's a lot better. But I do know a lot of people are still kind of complaining about like there is not as big as like a big of a drought content wise.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of there is what a lot of people have been arguing.
You do Apex do a lot of patches, or is there more intermittent?
Apex does a lot of patches. They try to like fix like they always try to fix the bug issues and
Yeah.
everything. The only thing the only main issue I'm still seeing right now is like the audio issue, because the audio sometimes
Is that
like
still in there? That's since the beginning of the game got released. Some of those audio issues.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'll be in a game, and then I'll just come around a corner, and somebody's just standing right in front of me, and I did not hear them at
Yeah.
all. And then you'll be, like, saying you're playing with, like, one of your teammates, and, the little audio icon will come up. It's like an audio delay. Yeah, so Apex's main issue is just, like, the audio problem.
Got you. And I know Content, they don't have content updates, really.
Right.
Like, the only time they get new content is, like, new characters. Like, and then Overwatch.
Yeah, like, say today the new Spellbound event collection came out. Like, Seer's Heirloom got released today. Like, a bunch of new, like, costumes came out today. Like, Horizon, I swear, her new costume is a Scarlet Witch costume. I'm not even joking, it's really Scarlet Witch
There's
based.
nothing wrong with that. The issue is, do you have any new game modes?
Control came back, so it's like 9 versus 9.
Why don't they just leave that in? I know people love Control.
I know a lot of people love Control. I love Control, but it's like, I don't know. It's just
They
the
also
way
had Gun
did the
Game, and like Gun Game
Yeah,
is something people love.
Gun Run was
Oh,
absolute.
Gun Run. I was
Yeah,
calling
Gun
it
Run.
Gun
Gun Run's my absolute favorite because, like, by the time you get to like the 15 points, you get to throw like the knives and stuff. And the knives, it's so fun because the knives are so hard to aim with and control. Because like you literally aim at the person and throw it, but as soon as you throw it, they move, and then the knife just goes right by their head.
Yeah, so like, I think it was yes, it's not the main thing, and it's not esports, but it's a good way to bring casual players back into the game.
Yeah.
And Overwatch, we just currently have the Hero of the Olympus event, and everyone's calling that lazy content, which I would have to agree with, because all we get is a cool, they're showing off the new skins, and then whichever character gets the most kills, that hero will get the new statue in Ilios, not in Ilios, the new statue in which map? And it's the deathmatch. It's in the deathmatch game mode. Isn't it?
I was going to say, I think it is Ilios.
Is Ilios? I thought it was Ilios, or I thought it was Château the French map.
Because I know a lot of people like say Ilios, and I think it's going to be in Well. I'm not too sure, but I know a lot of people have been they want Lucio because like Ilios is Lucio's map.
Yeah.
Because like with all the boops and whatnot.
So, again, that's cool. That is a cool thing they're doing, but that they could have had way more cooler content.
Right.
Also, we're still waiting for the PvE side, which I'm really excited for.
It should come out later this year.
I'm excited for history and lore and origin stories and developing Overwatch 2 in the future. That's my other side of that there. But that's those conversations there.
We would like to say one thing before we continue, but just to keep an eye out for the esports facility tour. That should be coming out soon. It will showcase the new studio for the production, the main facility, and I believe that is it.
The JV facility
the JV facility.
And the break room / my office.
And the office as well.
Who's I know this is I'm the man who's doing the tours. I know
know
what we're covering.
Just keep an eye on that because it should be coming out pretty soon. But I think we want to go ahead and talk about some esports news.
Yep, in general news there. I know TSM is Vi's favorite teams. I'm going to let her talk about that for a little bit. And then me and Fuj will talk about some Overwatch news that I think is pretty massive.
Yep, so TSM's actually doing really good in the ALGS this year. They're actually number 1 out of all the teams for the championship right now. The Split 1 playoffs is getting ready to happen next month.
In London?
I believe. Yeah, in London.
Someone's upset about that. I know that.
All three LAN events are gonna be in London. Yeah. I believe Verholst dropped a 20 kill game at one point during like the it was like during one of the matches.
Yeah.
Hal's just been shredding this season, honestly. Everybody asked who my favorite TSM Apex player is. Honestly, I don't have a favorite player just because trying to pick out a favorite player out of the three of them when they're like amazing in their own right is just kind of hard. Like Hal is amazing, honestly, at IGLing. He does get tilted sometimes, but that's just the game. Reps does a good job at anchoring, like making sure like if a team's coming in behind them, he'll be like, hey, a team's coming in behind them, or like if some like say Verhulst is like stuck in a corner or something, Reps will go over there and help him. Verhulst, he is an amazing player. If he gets a volt, he is not missing a shot. If he gets a volt with a digital threat on it, anybody who's in the smoke, he is absolute threat. I feel like Verhulst is honestly a lot of people's favorite TSM player because he has the nickname now Verbussy. Yeah, that is his nickname now.
Gotcha.
That is his nickname now.
I know How is just the mainstay.
Yeah, Hal is the CEO of Apex.
Yeah. Then the other thing is with Apex, I noticed with Split 1, I saw something. If I remember correctly, Optic didn't make it, and a bunch of other teams didn't make it to stage 1.
Optic didn't make it. Optic didn't make it. I believe FaZe, I don't think they made it.
I think a couple other big ones, and I know one of the teams who qualified made a tweet like saying, "I guess we won't see you at LAN," and they highlighted the three teams that they would went the three teams that should have made it to LAN consistently. Furia, that was the other one.
Yeah,
that was the other one who didn't make it, and which Furia is a massive surprise that they didn't make it.
Yeah, Furia is a really good team. His Watson, really good player.
Yeah, so like that, I remember like someone tweeting that out, and that was hilarious to watch, kind of thing.
I remember I was watching it, and honestly, Optic, they had a bad start at the very beginning, but like later in the game, they were making some really impressive plays. So when I was at the end and I saw they didn't make it, I was honestly very surprised. But TSM came out on top every single time. Did they make like number 1 every single match? No. But they were dropping like 15, 20 kills games like mostly the entire time. Like there was a couple games where they got like maybe like 2 to 5 kills, but they still got enough KP and enough placement points to come out on top. So another
thing about esports, Apex news. The reason I know this because Most Critical, his team, Moist Esports, his team qualified. I know they play in the Oceanic region, so probably not the strongest region for Apex, but his team there won the qualification by winning 3 straight games in a row and winning instantly, kind of thing. Like that's pretty impressive. Because in Apex, if you didn't know, to win, you have to get to 50 points and then win a game.
Yeah,
they did that in like 3 games.
Yeah, there was like 10 teams this season that made match point. So it was honestly nerve-wracking to see who would get that match point and who would win.
Yeah, but during that qualification, they qualified to go to LAN. Watching that was impressive. Seeing them win when they got that in 3 back-to-back wins.
Yep.
That's super, because in Apex, getting back-to-back wins is super hard. So that was very impressive doing that there. Kind of thing. I also really do like the way Apex does it, just so you know, that you have to win you not only have to get to a certain point number, you also have to win that last one. Because what that allows to avoid, because it used to happen, at least in Fortnite, I know in other BIs this happens, and once you hit your point threshold, you just rat. So what this does is forces you not ratting, it forces you to win that last game, which I think is important, kind of thing, to forcing you to still play the game competitively instead of just being a rat and camp until the last round, so you can just win, say we won.
Yeah, another team I would like to point out is obviously Dark Zero. They came out of another country and came into esports in NA. They won. They have been an amazing team. They won the last 2 championships in LAN. They make a bunch of impressive plays, and it is not a surprise that they won the last 2 LANs. So if they won this LAN, I would honestly not be surprised.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think before we go to Overwatch, I know with like Moist Esports, I know the Rocket League team did really.
Oh yeah, they came out of nowhere in the EU and like just destroyed the EU scene there. Went to LAN and all that. And they're really good in the EU. And then also their version 1. Another thing is one of another team is version 1 team. He basically is the bad guy in Rocket League, because Rocket League, when you're on stage and lands, you don't really trash talk the other team. You're very respectful and all this. What he did was he did the Call of Duty mentality. He would come and he would do like Call of Duty plus Overwatch. He would dress up in different things, and then he would also get up and start saying stuff to the other team mid match when he's winning and stuff. And that got into the other team's brain, because that's not what you usually see.
Not used to
in Rocket League. Rocket League is usually very calm and very respectful.
Yeah.
But then you see this kid coming in and he made him a name from now, and he's a villain kind of thing in that area. So yeah, but the Moist Esports, out of nowhere, Moist Critical made some really good. He's actually investing heavily into esports with his team there. And he's doing really good. He has some really good Smash players. I know has Rocket League, Apex. He's got a Brawlhalla team, and he got a couple. And he got a couple other teams. He got a couple other teams as well, kind of thing. Then I know Disguised Toast. But I don't know if he announced it yet, or if he's thinking.
Made some announcement.
Yeah, he's making a Valorant team. I don't know if they have announced the team name yet, and I don't know if they announced the roster yet. But I know that he's trying to get into Valorant as well, into the Tier 2 scene for Valorant with his team. So you're about to have some other influencers, Twitch streamers, esports teams coming out. After this, people saw the success of more esports, you're going to see more copycats, and like Disguised Coast is the next one that's trying to hop in on that, with at least starting in Valorant and then hoping to expand from there.
Because you'll see that a lot for sure. A lot of people hopping on the bandwagon for streamers, YouTubers, whatnot. Yeah.
So Overwatch League, some big news in there, at least for me, 2 things. First off, the easy one, I'm going to cover the big one. I'll let Fuji over here cover the other one. For me, I'm a Boston Uprising fan, so I'm a die-hard fan of that. We got back again for the 3rd time in the season. We have Striker back. We had him on our roster 3 times now. He left in season 1. He didn't, and then he came back last season, and then he left halfway through to go back to Shock. And now he's back again on our roster. He has not stuck it out at all for a full season. Basically, if he's not winning in Boston, he's not playing for Boston.
Yeah.
But he likes playing for Boston, or we pay him enough, or no one else gives him an offer initially besides Boston. And then he plays in the leagues and he shows that he's good enough, and then other teams pick him up after that fact. Usually the Shock. But some of the other players we have on the roster, we have Izzy Ake from Shanghai. We have Twilight. We have some really strong Decay. We have a really insane lineup. I've got who's our tank player that I'm forgetting who our tank plays, but I know he's also a really good player. That we have a really good stand up. We have new coaches. We have Pre from Justice. Basically got the Justice roster because the Justice GM Pre left Washington Justice and is now with us. We have some really good coaches as well joining us. So I think Boston's gonna have a really good season this year. So that's really exciting for me. And I think it's going to be really good. I'm really excited to see that. Some other teams are also really loving up. I really think Shock has a good roster this year as well in NA. But the APAC region is looking insane with some of these changes. There's changes that were made to Spike's roster, to Seoul Dynasty hasn't really announced anything yet. But some of these Shanghai, some really good releases and stuff. So you're going to see some really good shakeups in here that I think is going to be very impressive to see how it goes. But Boston Uprising, we're going to rise up this year for once and actually win. I know that's the whole thing. That's our new slogan this year, is actually rising up and doing good. They did get bought out. This goes back to Call of Duty news a little. We'll go into there for a little bit. Boston Uprising is owned now. Halfway through last year, when Boston now is owned by the same team that owns the Boston Breach, which is Oxygen Esports. Okay. Oxygen Esports bought is now the operating arm of the Boston esports scene, which includes Boston Breach and then Boston Uprising kind of thing. So that might be the reason why we have a better operating owning group of the team for Boston Uprising. But
I know speaking of tanks, but I know Dante, he's looking for a team.
Yeah, he still hasn't been able to find one yet.
And I know what to say is it's getting pretty close with the new season to start. So hopefully he can find someone because it's not looking too good for him right now. I guess with Overwatch 2, I guess a lot of changes are coming with Overwatch 2. As we saw with the Seoul Infernal, I guess previously known as Philadelphia Fusion. I guess that's interesting to see about that because I know a lot of people are really excited for that to happen.
Well, they were playing from Seoul. They were playing from Korea for the last 2 seasons. Since COVID hit, they were playing from South Korea. So it makes sense if you can be playing there to change your title over kind of thing. And then also they're owned by Comcast, which means they own so they own T1, and Comcast owns T1 and Spectre Gaming. So they respectively they own one of the biggest franchise esports orgs out there. It's international org, which is T1 kind of thing, which is where Faker and all the big league names come from, and they're really good at most games. And then there's another team that's switching over for Overwatch, right?
The Vegas.
Vegas, okay.
Vegas.
The
From
Paris.
Paris Internal.
Yeah.
To Vegas.
Vegas Internal. Let's look up the name.
Eternal.
Yes,
Yeah.
Vegas Internal. And the same thing with Call of Duty. Their Call of Duty team that was Paris Legion has also been relocated to Vegas. Now it's Legion Vegas or Vegas Legion kind of thing. So they have two. That org fully switched over, which has been rumored for like the last year and a half because there was a leak of the copyright for that, for the copyright for that. So we knew that was going to happen.
Right.
Or there was a good chance it was going to happen, kind of thing. So that's very interesting there. Then, like I said, going back to T1 and or that area in League, also you gotta look at League or Call of Duty or Valorant as well. Riot owns probably the two top esports games at this current moment. With that, and T1 is one of the big investors. T1 has like 2 to 3 teams in Valorant, and they obviously, sadly, didn't win the Worlds this year. They lost to DXG, I think, which is a Chinese-based team. I think it was DXG. Yeah. Faker and T1 were supposed to win. That's all I know. I know T1 was not supposed to lose Worlds that year, kind of thing. It was definitely supposed to have been a T1 victory, kind of thing. So. But yeah, supposedly Faker always every year gets basically blank checks from every single team in NA to play for NA LCS, where they will literally just pay him as much as he wants. But he's not. He has said he doesn't matter. He's gonna stay in Korea and play for T1.
I know because they just renewed his contract with him.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Every year his contract comes up, kind of thing. There's rumors of he's basically getting blank checks from any team, which is always interesting. Imagine Imperial Hell just gets here's a blank check. No other player in esports that I know of. Literally every year when his roster, that you just get a blank check to play on. Like that should tell you how good he is. Also, another reason why is because he's the most well-known league player in history. He has his own ice cream brand, literally, like in South Korea. Like that's how well known he's in ads. He's like the LeBron James of esports in South Korea. Like he's that famous. He's more like Shaq, because Shaq has all the different all the ads he does,
all the ads and whatnot. Yeah. And I did see this clip that someone like kind of recorded of like Faker was like at his like station and he was like you can just see his screen was just like flickering. Because he was just like checking on how everyone was doing, checking the how the scoreboard was looking, the shop and whatnot. He was like constantly his screen was like constantly changing, and his like teammate is just like flickering just a little bit. Yeah,
the amount of data that he can consume at once is insane. So it's pretty interesting to see that. And then a couple other Overwatch teams, some of the contender teams left. Like I know Talon 1 left, which they brought 6 players to the pro level and 3 coaches over their history as a Overwatch contenders team, which is the semi-pro scene. So that's interesting there. The other thing that is also going to be interesting in, at least for a lot of esports this year, this is going to be more esports are trying to get back to land. I know there's been the last few years, but this is like really the first year that I know even higher they're going to try to get back to lands and things like that. And that's going to be interesting to see how well they do, if we can get the fans back out there to those events there, kind of thing.
I think it's good. I think it's a good stuff because I know with COVID, a lot of people have not been doing LANs. And I know the whole like LAN is kind of like lost its like I guess magic behind it because I know like a lot of things like what was so special about esports was just like even though I know like the whole purpose is like you can play from anywhere and still compete, but I don't know just having LANs and having the teams being just right from each other.
If you're a player any day of the week, at least I know this for a fact for myself. Any day of the week, I'd rather be at a LAN event than be playing online. Give me a LAN event. Give me that environment. Not even that, just that experience. Give me that environment. I will play better because there's people in front of me, and the other team is literally 2 feet away from me. I have way more energy and want to win there than playing online. Also, even if it's there's the packet loss and latency, ping, all that is going to be like 5. Which is the best. You get the best. You get the best environment. There's no excuse that the other team beat you because you had bad ping. The only excuse you have is they were better than you. So it makes the competitive integrity by having LAN events so much fairer.
And then I know a lot of issues is like with cheating and whatnot. So I know with like LAN events, I know it's happened a couple times. But people will cheat in LAN events and they have to like go and like do a PC check real
Yeah.
quick. But it's not as often.
Window.exe. Sorry, wood.exe.
Yeah.
That one of the an Optic player from India when he was playing CS:GO Optic.
I saw
That's
that.
what that joke was. He had a wood dock, and as soon as they were trying to go over there to look at it, you hear him start freaking. Oh no, I gotta delete that. And they found out there was he was using cheats for a CS:GO thing on land.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the joke. Yeah, but land events are way nicer for that as well for cheating. You don't have that. It's much harder to do any sort of cheating on land because you don't have control of any of the PCs or any like that.
Yeah, because it's not like you're bringing your own PC with you or not.
Yeah. Usually cheating happens less in franchise leagues. So like Overwatch, Call of Duty, Valorant, League. Those are the ones that don't really have cheating. It's usually the non-franchise leagues, leagues that have issues online. So CS:GO, Fortnite, any of the battle royale games have a lot of cheating online, and then like CS:GO, any of those types of esports. StarCraft can have some when you're online. When they play that still, so it really is those games that have those issues. I know Apex has recently have a crap ton of issues with cheating in ladder and stuff.
It was funny because Imperial Howard, they were playing a game and they came across a cheater and they were spectating the cheater. They were literally not even aiming. They were literally just hip firing people, like literally all the way across the map, and they were killing people.
Yeah.
Like there is no way they should have hit a single shot, but they were literally killing people like miles away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
That's the problem with Source Engine games.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just
it's too easy to break through to find.
because the code's already out there. For
It's open
everyone.
sourced.
It's open source, and yeah, I think that's like the bad thing. It's like like Source Engines. It's a good engine. A lot of games are on it, like CS:GO and whatnot, Dota,
Apex.
and whatnot. Well, it's just like Source 2 is a lot better because I know that's what Dota runs on.
Yeah.
Is Source 2.
And then Apex runs on a
Modified
modified Source 1 that they heavily modify, which is why b-hopping in Apex is much harder. You can still do it, but it's harder because they were able to modify how it works.
Yeah. So it's like that's like the biggest problem with like Source games is just like cheating is just like ridiculous. Like CS:GO, ridiculous. Yeah.
And then, speaking of Apex, from what I saw, more and more pro players are going over from mouse and keyboard over to controllers as they feel with how strong aim assist is in Apex that they feel like you don't even need anyone to play mouse and keyboard anymore. And some of these players who only have ever played mouse and keyboard are fully switching to controller at the pro level where they never really play controller ever to play at the pro level for Apex because it's so much better, supposedly, for the aim assist and it makes it easier to play. Is that true? I don't really do that much Apex.
Personally, for me, like, since I've only played mouse and keyboard, like, I really couldn't tell you. But I know, like, there's, like, movement mechanics you can do on PC that you can't do on console. So, like, tap strafing, you can do that on mouse and keys, but you can't really do it on controller. And then, of course, controller, has aim assist when PC, you have to do it manually.
Yeah.
So, it's just different aspects from mouse and keys and controller, but personally, I couldn't tell you why people do that. It's probably just their preference.
Because I heard that more and people are doing that. And I know that's always been an argument in BI games, and it will always be an argument in BI games. Should aim assist be as strong it is for controller compared to mouse and keyboard? My opinion is, even though I think aim assist is too strong, it has to be that strong because they're going against mouse and keyboard players.
Yep.
So if it wasn't that strong, the controller players would not stand a single shot at all to stand up against mouse and keyboard players.
Yeah.
Which is why, like in Overwatch, you only play on mouse and keyboard because there is aim assist, but it's not strong enough to make it viable for the pro league. You have to make it strong enough on BR games, and the reason why you have to have it is because BR games are way more popular on consoles than they are on PCs. So you have to have really good aim assist if you want. Most of your fans and most of your players are on consoles, while Overwatch, most of your players are on PCs. So you don't need to have as strong.
And I think it's like even the thing is like with controller on Overwatch, didn't they just recently like fix it? Like apparently like a lot of console players were like complaining how like there was hardly any.
Yeah,
it was too weak.
Yeah, it was super weak. There was a lot of other issues. But when you play Overwatch on console and controller, there's two different games. The pace
Is
is
totally
the pacing of Overwatch on console is so much slower compared to what is on PC. Well, with BR games, there's no difference in pacing. It's the same pacing kind of thing. Yes, there's different, like you said, movement mechanics, but the core elements are the same in the same there. So I think in BR you will always have that argument is which is better, and then some esports games like Call of Duty will always be on controller. Then other games like League of Legends, Dota, those games are MOBAs will always be on mouse and keyboard because of how many buttons you have to use.
It'd be impossible to do.
It wouldn't be impossible. You would just have to do a lot of. You would have to hit D-pad and hit two different or hit different buttons, like 3 buttons at once. Hit left D-pad plus A B at the same time to use said ability, which would be too much. It wouldn't be viable to compete at the highest level.
Yeah.
So, because you have Smite, and Smite can play on a controller. So clearly, you can make MOBAs on controllers. Now, is Smite really good on controller? No. It's better on mouse and keyboard, hands down. But can you? Yes. So it's viable. But does it definitely hinder the fun and the competitiveness of it? I would say so.
No,
kind of thing.
It's not definitely not the equal option to keep mouse and keyboard, because mouse and keyboard for most games anyways is like it's like a no-brainer. You gotta pick that.
Like I will always say, the device you use, the peripherals, all that does not matter at the end of the day. It does, but it's like, a football player is clearly going to wear paddings and cleats, while, a volleyball player is going to wear nothing, no pads. They don't need the padding. It's going to be based on the game, just like traditional sports is. That's how it's always going to be for gaming as well. You always going to have the thing, like fighting games. It's going to be either on controller or fight boxes, like we used to do at arcade. It's always going to be those, like, every game is going to have, every genre is going to have their own primary better input, and each game in that genre might have a different input than what the main genre uses, because of how the game is designed.
Yeah, like Rocket League, I don't know anyone who plays on mouse and keyboard.
No. Same with, like Smash, no one plays on fight boxes mainly. Everyone usually mainly just uses a Switch control, while most other games you use a fight box for a lot of the other fighting games. So it's really dependent on the game that you're playing there. There's some other news that I saw recently was that a couple other BRs died, like no-name BRs, like Hyperscape, which was the Ubisoft BR. Then
I think, right?
And then Spellbreak just closed down.
Yeah,
so like a couple other BRs. The BR scene, the explosion of like having 1,000 different BR games is finally coming to an end, and it's coming to the top 3.
Warzone, Apex, Fortnite.
Yeah. Like I played both Hyperscape and Spellbreak. I really like Spellbreak, but I just kind of shifted back into Apex. And just play Apex and like kind of like stop playing Spellbreak.
Yeah. So we're at that point where we're into that. I like Hyperscape. There's another good BR out there. I like it, but it's still going, so that's at least good. Is Masquerade Blood Hunt, which is a vampire game. That one's really fun in my opinion. Really fast paced, and have some unique mechanics where you have to there's different characters around different humans around the map, NPC humans that you can suck the blood from them, and they give you different abilities to make you stronger throughout the game. And that is, I think, is a really unique way to take on a BI. Well, like Spellbreak was just Fortnite set of guns. It was with magic. Which was no difference.
Yeah, it's like you just had like magical abilities instead of like building stuff.
And it was really cartoony, just like it literally was. Like Spellbreak was just that, and that Hyperscape was just a fast pace, city urbanized BI. Like Apex. It was like the same pace of Apex. It had a lot of the same mobility abilities and all of that.
I had some friends who played it, but I never really played it myself, so I'm not too familiar with Hyperscape.
So to make a good BR at this point, you can't just copy. At this point, you can't do copies anymore. Like PUBG, H1Z1. The Fortnite became really good because they just copied all their games, but they had one unique feature. Apex has one unique feature with the Legends they do, and then Warzone has its thing, which is realistic, and you have your loadouts, and it's that. Each game has their own. To make a good BR to stand out in this scene, you have to have a unique concept, and that's why like Blood Hunt still exists, because it has at least a niche community can latch onto a unique thing. With like Spellbreak, like you said, you just went back to Apex. There wasn't something unique that was catching you to keep you there, which is like even though Overwatch metas are bad sometimes, may not be fun. There's no other game besides TF2, Team Fortress 2, that has that same feel to it, that is that good and that complete and that concise. So that's why Overwatch will always maybe not always exist, but can limp along longer than other games before it dies. It's just because A, Blizzard, and then B, because it has a very unique niche that not many other teams can or not games can take over.
And it was like Paladins, they tried to take over that, and it was like was it before or did that game come out after?
Technically, Paladins came out first, and then Overwatch came out. The issue was Overwatch was in development first, and Overwatch got announced first before Paladins. Paladin had a shorter announcement period, unlike Paladins, which had unlike Overwatch had a longer
like betas and people just the hype was kept building up.
But technically, Paladins came out 1st
And I know, and then a lot of people just like because that was still when it was like announced, Overwatch was announced. That was like when like Team Fortress was like still in its prime, I would say. And a lot of people, they 100%, I think they like basically advertise it as like the TF killer. Because like people were like a bunch of the like streamers and content creators for like Team Fortress were like, I can't wait for this game to come out. It's gonna like we actually want to get like good content for once. I'm probably gonna like switch over. And it's kind of funny how that's now they're like the Team Fortress 2. We hardly get any content. Well, at least Overwatch 1 hardly got any content. Yeah. But so it's like because I know Paladins, a lot of people would make the argument. It's like technically it came out first. So Overwatch is like the copycats, and it's like one can argue that, but really all these characters that like Paladins have just seems really similar to like these concept characters that like Overwatch had first.
Yeah, they have Hog. Yeah, they literally have Hog,
and they have Mei.
And then Hog wasn't one of the original characters that was released. A lot of these new characters that released, which are actually good in Paladins, are characters that were released after Overwatch got released, and then they made DLC characters or new heroes that came out that are literally, they have Widowmaker, they literally have Reinhardt. Reinhardt in the game is Reinhardt, but he has a flamethrower instead of a hammer. So they change him up a little bit. It's literally, he has a shield, and then he can charge, and then he has flamethrower.
Like Valorant has like Sage Wall. I mean, that looks identical to Mei Wall.
But again, a lot of these games, even though we can say as a consumer, we can say they copied each other. A lot of these games are in development at the same time. Yeah. So they're all just following the same thought process without realizing they're following the same thought process.
Yeah. And honestly, it's like even though it's like copycatting, I mean, it's like it's still working because like these abilities are like the same. Because I think a lot of times, a lot of games copy other games like abilities is kind of like draw them in because I know when Valorant was like first announced and you saw like Sage bring up the wall and like, oh my gosh, that's a Mei ripoff. And they want to test it out to see like
also it makes easier for people to less change. I'm gonna play this new game, but at least I know how to use this character already, kind of thing.
So they definitely do that like on purpose for sure to bring more people like Overwatch players in. And that was the thing with like Overwatch did with like Team Fortress players. I mean, they had like basically the same characters. They had like the heavy, you have Reinhardt, Medic, got Mercy. Like literally, Mercy is identical to Medic. Like you just latch onto someone and you like kill them all the time. So it's like I know they bring in like players of like similar communities. So it's like it's not that big of a jump.
Yeah, and then I know like for Apex, I wish Apex. Apex is amazing. Yes, and made a crap ton of money for them. The issue is. I will never because of how successful Apex is. I will never get TF. I would never get TF3, Titanfall 3. I will never get my Titanfall 3 ever.
Well, that's like a lot of people speculated like Wraith's abilities came from like the Titanfall characters. Like how Titanfall characters they have like the clock thing where they like zip, and then that's what Wraith is. Like Wraith has her portals and she has. Like the thing where she like goes into like different the void, the void, and she can like go to a different location without taking like any damage. Yeah, so that's what a lot of people's like Apex got some ideas from Titanfall.
I know like
well they're in the same universe technically.
Yeah, they are. And I know like with Octane's like syringe, they got that from Titanfall because they mentioned it in Titanfall with the speed boost abilities and whatnot.
So we won't get that. But also right now, Apex is Apex has content drought. The main team that's working on Apex now is mainly working Respawn, and the main people at Respawn are now working on the new Star Wars game that they're making. The Survivor. I've read the full thing, but I know Star Wars Survivors. I think there's a
Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
and then story.
Something.
Like they always put story at the end. You know, a Star Wars story survivor, and then it's just, Jedi Survivor, because you have to have a story because the way Star Wars does it. But yeah, so there. That's why another reason why Apex is getting some content. At least what some people are thinking it is, because they're focusing a lot on that. Because when they made Apex. Titanfall 2, there was just a countdown draw. Just instantly, as soon as the main team of Respawn, they were working on on Apex, there was a countdown draw. So right now, everyone's assuming Respawn does not have the capabilities somehow with how much money they make, and they're owned by EA, does not have the capabilities of running two games at once or building two games. One running a live service game and then building a game. They don't have that capabilities of doing that. At least that's what some people are at least looking at. Kind of thing. And you can see that with content droughts.
And we were talking about like the game as Apex has like Control. They're bringing that back. I know they have arenas. Arenas is a pretty big hit. I know that's what you play the most, right?
Yeah.
Is arenas. And I think just for the old Titanfall fans, they just bring like team deathmatch or something.
Yeah.
Like maybe keep some abilities in there that are like pretty. I would say. Okay, because I know all the abilities are like surrounded like BR. Maybe rework them just for like team deathmatch. But I'm sure people would eat that up because like they're like this is the closest where we're going to get to TF3.
Or bring it where you can wall run again on jetpack. No, they'll never do it, but do a limited time mode with that. Or no, and this definitely won't do. Drop because they have stated the age of the Titans are over in the current timeline for Apex Legends, which means you will never see Titans in Apex Legends because they have come out and clearly stated that the age of Titans are over because the Frontier Wars, which was what Titanfall 1 and 2, as you can see, I love the lore of Titanfall. The Frontier Wars are over, which means you don't need Titans anymore, which means you will never get Titans in Apex, even though it'll be a really cool limited time mode to have it, King of the Hill. Everyone fights for the Titan, and then if you hold the hill long enough, you get to use the Titan, and then every other team has to escape to an extraction point or get killed by the Titan kind of thing. That would be just a fun game mode to do as a limited time. They won't do it because the Age of Titans is over, but that would be a pretty cool thing to do.
So like I bring back old
the
lore wouldn't line up, but like I'm sure they
could by saying, oh, this is an old run down Titans. It doesn't have to be a brand new one. You could literally have it like missing an arm and stuff to make it look really worn down.
Really worn down. So I feel like if they cater to I know Apex technically is catering to Titanfall, but like I think if they do more to cater to Titanfall fans, I feel like you would easily overtake Fortnite.
Yeah. Now they have clearly stated that Titanfall 3 is not off the table, but what they have also stated is that they will not make Titanfall 3 until Apex is not viable. And what they mean by that is until Apex, they have drained all the money they can get out of Apex, is what they mean by that. But like the AGLS is probably one of the top things. I know Team Liquid. Team Liquid just left Apex though.
Yeah, Team Liquid, and I heard another team did.
Yes, I know the big one was Team Liquid, and the Team Liquid team got all picked up by XSET, which is the people who are the founders of XSET. Used to be some of the people who are higher ups who worked at FaZe, kind of thing. So that's how they made that connection through there. So that's why XSET is really good right now, or have some really good people on the team because it's the same people who made FaZe. Any other big news stories that you guys can think of?
I know I was just watching a video pretty recently. We were talking about Marea Esports and how that's kind of a thing that Marea Critical is doing. And I thought it was interesting because he was on that podcast talking about how did he bring Marea Esports around, and he was saying it was accidental. He didn't really mean to bring it. He just saw a guy that was really good in Smash, and the guy was going to a tournament, and he hit up Critical and saying hey, I'm a lobbyist for this company, about to go to this tournament. Could you retweet it or something? Yeah. And he's well, how about I just create a new org and you just be in it and we do it like that. And so that's how that started. Yeah. And I thought that was interesting because he said that he's looking to go into other games. I think he says he wants to do League. I think is what he wants.
But it's too expensive amount of money to get into League.
But he says the reason it's stopping him from doing it is League. It's just really expensive.
That's why Mr. Beast hasn't.
Yeah, and he also said he's thinking he wants to do Valorant, but he says Valorant basically shot itself in the foot with franchising.
The way they did. Some people don't like the way they did franchising. Put it this way. Franchising for Valorant will be a rough for the first year or two, and then people will be okay with it.
I'm hoping they don't make the same mistake, because that's what Overwatch is. The Overwatch League is just a franchise.
Yeah,
you can buy into it, but it's 20 million.
But at least with the way that Riot did it, the next top 2 teams from the channel, the tier 2 team can be moved up to tier 1. They get auto bids. They automatically get spots, and the bottom 2 teams from the main league go down.
Gotcha.
So they at least have movement, unlike Overwatch where there's no movement up and down.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
It's just like set.
You do that, only these 20 teams, nothing matters, which is why tier 2 seems dead in Overwatch because of that reason. Do you have anything else that you think for news-wise? I know I'm the guest. I'm acting like I'm the host. I'm not. I swear I'm not the host. I'm just boss man, so I'm
It
used to
came
it.
out yesterday that Apex came out with new custom lobbies. So now instead of like finding like a streamer to like join their lobby, like Ambush and like Nick Mercs and like Daltus, like people that do that, instead of finding a streamer and joining their lobby to like play in their lobby,
You can make your own custom.
Yeah, you can make your own and play with your friends.
Got you.
Which means like I'm glad it's already in there, but I think it was like 2 or 3 years too late.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it's in there. But I think other than that, I know the wall is temporary.
Yep.
I know that should be here within the next few days, few weeks. We're going to be redoing this wall, so it looks very nice for the podcast. But be sure to keep an eye out. Concord University Esports. We're doing a lot more videos. We're doing trivia. We're doing a podcast, and even more ideas. And the facility tour, where we go through this room, we go through the main facility, and the break room / Austin's office.
And then and also the JV
and
teams.
the JV teams as well. We're going to be going through those rooms and showing you guys what we're up to. Just be on the lookout for those. But other than that,
Make sure you follow us on Twitter. All of our social medias are Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that. Go follow us all there. Do all of that normal stuff there you got to do. And subscribe also to this YouTube channel here to get more content from us.
we'll be doing a lot more podcasts in the future.